And good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. As I had a little squeak in my voice, I need another cup of coffee to fix all of this. 44 right now as you're waking up. We should hit somewhere around 76. And as I mentioned in the comments, we'll be ready to let this temperature kind of climb over the next few days. By the weekend, we should be in the upper 70s. By the next Monday, we might be hitting about 80 before it starts going back down again. So we got a little warmer spell coming up. We'll take a complete look at your forecast here in a moment to get all of those details so you'll know what's going on. It is Wednesday. We're the middle of the week as we get another week behind us. And I might to pull up for the morning show when we start off at 7. We'll get back into just what the countdown is to Christmas. We got a float to build. We got a lot to do. I know of 3 parades. We got Meridian, Collinsville, and also the parade in Marion. And I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, if y'all are watching from Tumsuba, I think there is a parade in Tumsuba.
Yeah.
I think. Clark County's got one. You're going to be running thin pulling a trailer is all I got to tell you. It's a lot to do. It's all coming up with the holiday season. Are we ready? Oh, I hope so. It's time to start a few gift shopping ideas as the weeks get closer. Let's go out to Collinsville now. The First Baptist, of course, they're going to have church tonight. We'll tell you all about that.
Someone once wrote, "Life is full of ups and downs, like a roller coaster ride. Times of joy and times of frowns, through which we must abide." Through these ups and downs, these hills and valleys. The Holy Spirit, through Apostle Paul, tells us how in Romans 12:15, saying this, "Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep." In other words, we come alongside them and join them in their happiness, and we join them in their sorrow. When they're happy about things they should be happy about, we're happy with them. When they're sad about things they should be sad about, we're sad with them. You don't have to have words to say. You just have to be present with them and empathize with them. Feel what they feel. In doing so, you communicate unity. I'm with you. You communicate maturity. I'm not jealous for you or spiteful of you. You communicate care. I love you. Don't you appreciate when people come alongside you in your hills and valleys? Then do the same for them. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. We say good morning to Lauderdale. Miss Linda Payne watching us from Hickory. Pat and Jim Croker. We see Mac joining us from Clarkdale. APAC joining us there. James Sullivan and the gang there at APAC this morning. Hope y'all are good. Philadelphia, Terry Ray. The list goes on and on here, folks. Louisville to Corey. Good morning there. Causeyville, Miss Dorothy joining us. We've got them from all over joining. Scuba, Mississippi being represented as well. Oh, James, a few of the folks that are out there. Chet Parker, good morning to you. 44, as we mentioned as you start out, that's nippy. Might want to warm your car up just a little bit as we get the day going. For cold folks like me, it's a must. Sunshine starting to break through. As we look at the headlines this morning, as always, this is sad because it touches Meridian in so many ways. The Natalee Holloway case, we brought this up yesterday. Her mother, Beth Holloway, is saying that attorneys are saying that Vander Sloot is expected to take a plea deal. The condition being on him releasing all the details on how Natalee died and where her body is. We'll see where that goes. A lot of discussion still on this. It's been years now as we follow this case, and maybe some closure coming. And that's been in the top headlines, Fox News and many other news outlets over the last couple of days. Biden has flown to the Middle East. As we see that, he has touched down, meeting with Netanyahu. I think I got that right today. He has canceled his trip to Jordan that has been called off. Now, as we look at the many different things that are going on, and of course they want to blame, Israel says they have not done this. If you'll find out, there's a hospital that's been blown up on the other side in the Gaza area. They're trying to blame Israel. Israel said we have not done it, and they have proof of it that a rocket was a misfire on the other side. Of course, if they could blame someone else, it would escalate into a bigger war and have their friends join. We know where that goes. Israel on the verge of going in. We watch Iran Could this be? And there's so much talk about this. I see it from churches to headlines to news. Where could this lead? Could this be the WW3? Tensions are very high. Israel has every right to protect its land as the United States did when we were attacked in New York. Terror attacks. You have every right to protect your country. And it's turmoil in America. Have y'all looked around and looked at all these headlines of the people that are protecting or standing up for those that attacked innocent people? Oh, there's a bill floating around. It may never go anywhere to where if you support this, you're not a United States citizen, you should be deported. That's a mess. We have sleepers in our country now because we've had open borders. Like that or not, that's the truth. There's people, and as we wash all the headlines away and get down to the nitty-gritty of what nobody wants to sit back and talk about, there's folks that don't like the United States. They will go any means necessary to harm us in our way of life. They have started, and you go back to that Paul Harvey speech from 1965. They start with a small, and they eventually work to where God isn't important anymore. They take him out of the schools, and it's worked so far. And we now see that half of America goes to church. Less than half. We're into the 40%. It used to be at 70, 75%. We're below 50 now. Oh, it's working what they're doing. And then they ease people in when we lax our borders. They're here. It could be a repeat of what happened so many years ago. But they're here. No one knows. They just slipped in after dark. And that's the truth. As we look to this, a top law firm, as we saw those students that went to Yale and those other universities that were in support of Hamas, says, well, they're taking back some job offers that they had sent out. 3 of them are not going to get a job now that they had been offered since they were supporting that. I say good job to that. Top law firms doing that. It's not often that happens. Let's see here. As we move around, a couple of other things that is happening here. We see that Rite Aid, 150 stores, as we talked about this yesterday, they're filing for bankruptcy. Now they admit that 150 stores that are underperforming will be closed. That's the beginning. More and more, and this is where this comes about. You go, well, that's Rite Aid. How does that affect my life? Over and over, we're seeing more of these stores closed that give prescriptions to you, pharmacies. It's going to be harder and harder for rural America to get their medicines. Do you see where this is coming? It could be 100, 150 miles if you live on the rural route to get to a town that's got one. These bigger operations are shutting down, and not every little small town has a mom-and-pop pharmacy anymore. Something to think about as we look at that. Arkansas, and we may have to talk about this morning, and it's not even their cousin. But they are saying Chinese seed forces, they're going to be taking back farmland in Arkansas, going, you can't own it anymore, connected to Chinese of what's going on. There's a lot of that going on in America. So much of our soil is owned by other countries. Yeah. When will we step up and go, wait a minute, what's your intention here? Oh, there's nothing wrong with somebody, and let me be straight about that. There's nothing wrong with somebody that moves here from another country and becomes a citizen and buys land. We're talking companies that come in from other countries that buy large portions of land. That's everywhere, all across the states. That's another one of those little sneaky little things that are happening that, well, no one is looking at. How many of our American companies are still American anymore? It would shock you. Should something go on, they pull out of America, and then you no longer have that service. Oh, wait a minute, that happened when we got sick and you couldn't get medicines or a tractor part or a car. Imagine if that was really on a large scale what this would be like. Again, I urge those who watch and who are up, and just in general, to know we need manufacturing back in the United States bad. We need to be able to take care of our own. That's my thoughts. When it's true. I think we all know that if you tried to buy anything during that COVID era. 77,000 acres in Mississippi is owned by foreign countries or foreigners. 770,000 acres. That's a lot. Woo. Imagine what Montana and those areas are that are wide open where you can buy tons and tons of land. We'll see about all that. There's more than you realize. There's many a company under that. That's our 2 cents worth on that this morning. We'll be right back with your forecast to tell you more about this. Bottom line is we cover news stories every day. Pay attention to what's around you. Open your eyes. Sometimes a story will say this, but it really means something else. Read between the lines. Be smarter than most, no matter where you go. We'll be right back to check that forecast as we start today.
At the Back Porch, we're bringing families back together for fun, food, and all the things you love to enjoy around your home. Every event starts with a great grill, great cookware, and accessories. Add in some locally sourced meat and dairy, along with frozen vegetables and casseroles, and over 500 brands of spices and sauces. Relax in our chairs, swings, day beds, and have fun with our cornhole boards. From coolers to trailers, we have everything you need. When you see the big chair, you've made it to the Back Porch.
Need an expert to repair a rock peck or cracked windshield? Call Advanced Auto Glass by Joey for quality workmanship and customer service. Convenient same-day service, as well as in-house calibration for vehicle safety systems. Reliable mobile service is available in Clark, Kemper, Neshoba, Lauderdale, and Newton counties for all cars, trucks, and heavy equipment. Book your appointment today for custom tinting. It can reduce temps, fading, glare, and more. Improve the safety and enhance the appearance of your vehicle today with services from Advanced Auto Glass by Joey.
There I am. As I was sitting there watching windshields, remember, as winter begins and you've got that little rock peck and you throw on that heater, y'all know what's going to happen. They start to run. Have that fixed before it gets out of hand. Just a small thought there. Because you know why? I say that from experience. It's happened to me.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
As we pull up and go back on our weather, back in 1947 on this day, the record high was 92. We go back to 43 for a low of 33 degrees. That was right there at that freezing degree mark, 1943. There was a movie that was horrible, I think, named after that. It didn't do well at the box office, if I remember. Sunshine will cover the area, 76 in Meridian, all the way through Philadelphia. Now, as you cross into Winston County through Noxapater and you make your way on up to Louisville, we start seeing 75-ish, and by the time you get to Starkville, 74. As we go west over, look at this, the Delta following that Mississippi River will stay in the mid-70s to about 77, somewhere along in there. In Alabama, we go to Birmingham, cooler. Look at that, 71. Gadsden about the same there. As we come back down toward Demopolis area, and in Livingston, we'll be close to 75 there. Auburn should see 71, and to the south there toward the coast, it'll warm back up as well. Now, as we look at this, what's happening, this is that little heat wave that we're seeing to where this weekend we'll have somewhere around 79 for a high, and by Monday we'll have about an 80-degree mark. We'll look at all the forecast and the temperatures that are forecasted here in a few moments, but we've got a little bit warm spell, but eventually, if you'll see back here, coming from California, normal weather moving into West Texas now, but it'll be cooler weather on the way. Now, this is the forecast of what we've got. 77 today, 78 tomorrow, and as I mentioned, gradually getting warmer over the weekend. They've already changed this to Saturday from 79 to 80. We're crossing into the 80-degree mark there as I pull this up. And this will hold steady through at least next Tuesday. Now, if you'll see that, after tomorrow, 0% chance of rain. And it's a minute chance tomorrow there. As we move forward, as we go all the way till October the 1st, November the 1st, we see that we'll see 66-degree weather there. The change will come around the 27th, where we hit a high of 75, and then into the 60s as we move into the month of November. Look at that. Mid-60s for highs. That's great weather. I'm not complaining about the 70s either, and I don't think most people will either. It's kind of wonderful to have that, isn't it? As we look at what's happening with the national hurricane season, again, this runs through November the 1st. We do have this little system that we're following here that has moved out into the Atlantic. It's an 80% chance that this will turn into something. As you see, it's turning to the north now. And instead of moving west, it'll move north and stay in the Atlantic is what we project at this point. And that could change, but right now it's not anything. It's just an 80% chance that it will turn into something. We'll watch it over the next few days of what happens. As we look at the fishing forecast, Chet tells us, when do we need to be there? Major time will be this afternoon, right around 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock is the time to go fish. as we move into what's going on with the best times to go hunting this afternoon. We should be there about, say 2 o'clock as well, about 10 after. We'll fix that date on there and change that to Wednesday. Ruh-roh. Thought somebody handled that for me. We'll get that fixed here in a minute. As we look at this, let's go back to radar this morning and take a look at what we've got on live radar right now. Let me pull this up. I was about to hit the wrong key. We need to go over here and hit this button here and pull this up. This is what we've got. A little bit here due south of Lafayette. We've got a little fog this morning. We've got to get near Gadsden, Alabama before we start seeing the major fog. By the time you get to Chattanooga, it gets thicker. And look at Knoxville, Tennessee, east of Murfreesboro, all of that area. Get into the Carolinas, Charleston always has fog. It's so many hills there. They've got it. But nothing major as we back out and look here across the U.S. A few showers there in Nebraska and Minneapolis. Nothing heavy. Fargo, North Dakota. And you've got to get into Canada before you get any more. But none of this is heavy. It's just kind of like light rain. So we got some of the mildest weather that we've got going on right now across the entire place. Well, it's been a pleasure this morning as we've gone over a few headlines. As we look at this, we'll have Odie in just a moment. He's reading up on everything that has gone on. We'll be back here. Miss Emily, how are you doing? Got a picture of your little girl up on the page there if you hadn't looked. We get ready for another day. It's all innocent at this point. Let's keep it that way. How do you do that? Well, a little prayer to start the day will help as always. We'll be back with headlines, what's going on locally, nationally, and across the state of Mississippi. That's all coming up at the top of the hour with Scotty Ray and Odie. We'll see you in just about 10 minutes.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.